Hello, dear students. This is Accounting 3. I'm Miss Tania Poveda. Welcome to my class. Remember that the information that I'm sharing with you, you can download it and save it on your computer. So remember to do that, okay? You can check the link whenever you want. And also you can download the PPT presentation or the PowerPoint presentation and check it later. So last week, we were talking about organizations. Do you remember about that? We were talking about business and businesses and commerce. Just to remember a little bit, remember that business in singular is the activity of producing, buying, and selling goods and services. And businesses in plural, it's like the companies. Other thing that it's very important to remember is product. Can you tell me what is a product that you can touch? How do you call a touchable product? Goods, right? And the opposite, how do you call untouchable products? Things you cannot touch. You cannot even see. Services, right? Like the service of a lawyer, a teacher, a doctor. That's some information that we really need to know by now. So today we continue with organizations. This is the second part of this chapter, Organizations 1. And we're going to talk about enterprise. So enterprise is nothing different than the same in Spanish. But I'm not going to tell you the definition, not yet. I would like you to watch this picture right now, and let's read these words together. After this, you can have your own definition for enterprise. Okay, so we have the first word here, people. Social, when we talk about people, usually we talk about social. Investment, ideas, micro, clusters, trust, partnership, business, talent, organic, profit, deals. All these words together, we can say they are part of the enterprise. But I'm not going to tell you what that is. Not yet, again. We're going to watch this little video, and then we will have a better idea what an enterprise is. So enjoy.
What is an enterprise? Enterprise has different meanings. It can refer to 1. A human skill, 2. A company, or 3. A difficult or important challenge. The adjective enterprising means showing or having initiative and resourcefulness. An enterprising person, for example, is good at finding ways to make money. An enterprising person is an entrepreneur. He or she is willing to take risks, a crucial quality for anybody wanting to go into business, make things happen. A true entrepreneur has the determination and drive to overcome the hurdles and possible pitfalls associated with launching a new business, and also they're willing to try new things. An enterprising person has the imagination to identify business opportunities that will satisfy consumer needs and fill gaps in the market. An enterprise can refer to a type of business or company, however, we cannot use the term interchangeably with company. For example, I can say I work in that company, but it wouldn't be right to say I work in that enterprise. Thank you for watching this Markets Business News video.
Okay, I hope that you enjoy it. What I like the most about that video is that they talk about enterprising people. It's other way to talk about entrepreneurs. And you already know that word by now. So you can say it's an entrepreneur or it's an enterprising person or entrepreneurial person. Okay, so by now you have more vocabulary to talk about entrepreneurship and now accounting terms. So you see the connection right now? Good. Well, remember I told you I will tell you the definition later? So what is this? What is enterprise? Well, let's read. An enterprise is any collection of organizations that has a common set of goals. You know that goals are objectives. So you have different organizations working together to reach goals. It can be, for example, in a company, it can be different departments. Or you can have companies together, working together, and they make a business. For example, an enterprise could be a government agency, a whole corporation, a division of a corporation, a single department, or a chain of geographically distant organizations linked together by common ownership. So like the companies that you have branches in different countries. That is an enterprise. What it is, the most important thing about that is that they look to make money. They look for money. Remember that. We're not talking about social programs here. We're talking about business. We're talking about making money. So they're always looking to grow their capital or their money. Let's read some characteristics and differences between public sector and private sector, or public enterprise and private enterprise. So let's start on the left with public sector. Do you know what a state is? It means that it's handled by the government. It means it belongs to everybody. In the case of Ecuador, it means that it belongs to all the Ecuadorians. A little piece of this is yours and mine, especially if you are over 18 and you are working and you are a productive person. So, public sector means state ownership. Ownership is, you know, the owner. State control. State financing. Socioeconomic objectives. And read this again, socioeconomic objectives. It means it's concerned about society. The state has to work for society on the public sector. And it has a public accountability. So it means that the money is going to be working in the society in Ecuador, just for the goodness of the Ecuadorians, in the case of Ecuador, of course. What is different with the private sector is that when we talk about private sector, we're talking about private ownership, different individuals with different companies, private management, so it's one person or a group of people managing the company, private financing, so with money of only a few people or some people, profit objective, they look to grow that profit, and private accountability. Okay, so maybe they have, like in this case, public sector, they have a state financing, and in private sector, they have private financing. They have a state ownership and private ownership. But if you pay attention here on the left, in the public sector, this is the only definition or a statement that you are not going to find in the private sector, which is the socio-economic objectives. Because remember that when we're talking about public sector, we're talking about society. In the case of private sector, they don't work for social conditions. They might do it, yes, as a secondary objective, but it's not the main objective. Who is concerned or who must be concerned about society must be the public sector. In other words, the state. So knowing this, let's read this little paragraph about Britain, or England or Great Britain. This is a short example about public enterprise. And it says, enterprise. In the 1970s, Britain, there were state-owned or government-owned, so public, right? State-owned or government-owned companies in many different industries, such as car manufacturing and air travel. Some industries had been nationalized and were entirely state-owned, such as coal, electricity, and telephone services. In the 1980s, the government believed that nationalized companies were bureaucratic and inefficient, and many of them were privatized and sold to investors. And these are the main words in this paragraph. Because in the beginning, they were state-owned or government-owned, but because they thought it was bureaucratic, the government, they sold them, privatized and sold them to investors. Okay, those are the main words. And I like this last part here, these two lines. Let's read it. Enterprises use it in a positive way to talk about business. Positive way to talk about business. Emphasizing the use of money to take risks. So you want more money, you need to risk more money. That's it. You want to earn $1, you invest $1. You want 100, you invest 100. That's how it works. This is some extra information I consider important, and it's about the public enterprises in Ecuador. Remember that public enterprises means that they are managed by the government, by the state. And we have, for example, Astinave, Correos del Ecuador, Alto Rendimiento, SELEC, CNEL, Casa para Todos, Ecuador Estratégico, EMCO, ENAMI, FLOPEC, Petroecuador, Empresa Pública del Agua, FABREC, Ferrocarriles del Ecuador, Medios Públicos, Petroamazonas, Santa Bárbara, TAME, UNA, Yachay, Cementera en Liquidación, and others. Now let's talk about a little bit private sector enterprises. So if the public enterprises are managed by the government or by the state, who manage the private enterprises? Well, here we have the answer. Private sector or private enterprises are or is business activity owned by individuals rather than the state. So it's like right now, Miss Tania Poveda, she has a company, she is an individual, she's not the state, so in that case, that company is mine, so it's private. That is so simple, right? We're going to check 3 combination words with enterprise culture, for example. What is enterprise culture? You know what culture is? Usually it's what people believe, what people live day after day. like Ecuadorian culture, for example? Well, it exists also this word or this combination words, enterprise culture, which is an atmosphere which encourages people to make money through their own activities and not only rely on the government. It means you have to grow, you want to grow, you have to work harder. You have to belong to this company. You have to make it grow. It's on your hands, it's not on the government's hands. Other words combinations we have is enterprise economy. What is that? An enterprise economy is an economy where there is an enterprise culture. So countries that are concerned or that they want to grow their economy, they are going to invest in private companies and make them grow. So in that case, they have enterprise culture and they are going to invest money on the private sector and they are going to help companies to grow. When a company grows, it's going to generate more jobs. So it means you're going to have more people working, more people making money, and that money is going to run around the society, which is really good. So that's enterprise economy. Other word combination is enterprise zones. And we're going to study a little bit more about this next week, but this is just introduction. So enterprise zones is a part of a country where business is encouraged because there are fewer laws, lower taxes. Again, it's connected with enterprise economy. It means if you want that private sector grows, you have to help these companies or this sector or zones to grow. How? As the state or as the government, you have to reduce some regulations or some laws that are going to avoid the enterprises to grow. And lower taxes. So like that, people can invest more money in their own business instead of spending money on the state. And pay attention here, I'm saying lower taxes. I'm not saying zero taxes. Taxes are good because they're going to go to the state and the state is going to work on social economy. Remember that? Okay, so that's it for today for the class. I'm going to explain a little bit about the homework and what you are going to do. It's not much, but basically it's a little bit of reading comprehension and complete the answers. Last week, we were talking about business and businesses, remember? And then we had these combinations here, corporate culture, corporate ladder, corporate headquarters, corporate logo, corporate image, and corporate profits. What you have to do with this is that you read these 6 expressions here, or 6 statements, and you have to connect with A opposite. This is A opposite. You have these expressions here. Then you have these 6 sentences or statements, and you write your answers here. You will have this on your email, so don't worry. Okay, now we have commerce and some combinations like commercial airline, commercial disaster, commercial artist, commercial land, and commercial television. You can't say a commerce. Very important to remember that. Do you remember these combinations? You can watch the video again, the one we worked on last week, and remember this. Or you can check on a dictionary. I recommend you to check on Oxford Business Dictionary. That's the best when we're talking about trading and businesses. So it's pretty much similar than the other one. In the instruction, it says, someone is talking about the word combination in be opposite. Which are they referring to each time? So we have here sentences here that we have to connect with these commercial descriptions. Got it? So remember, it's kind of a reading comprehension too. And of course, vocabulary. And finally, the word combinations I just told you about private enterprise, for example, enterprise culture, enterprise economy, and enterprise zone. You are going to complete these 2 paragraphs. Here on these light blue spaces, you will have space to write. So you read carefully and complete with these expressions here. That's it, no more. I hope that you enjoy this class. I hope that you are learning a lot. If you have any question, please let me know and see you next week. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.